value from it during that Immortal fight.
BTG taking us to the Dragon Shire as map number 2. This is a map that RPG have managed to sneak wins on before, and it's another pretty good Genji map. Well, all maps are good Genji maps. Genji's good. But BTG taking us to a very rotation-heavy map, very laning-heavy map. If you can win a lane here, we've already seen Team KT dominate some of the best teams in the league with a Sergeant Hammer comp on this map in the past. So let's see how either of these teams are willing to adapt.
Yeah, we could see that yesterday in EU as well, right? When Dignitas actually had a really solid hammer game. They had Medivh in there as well. There's so many ways of you playing hammer right now and getting away with it and looking really dominant in that as well. I wonder if Beyond the Game is going to take a page of Europe's book here.
Yeah, and I was very excited for that series. For starters, I'm excited that we actually might be getting Liquid at an international event for the first time in a long time, and that makes me super hyped because I love Liquid. But either way, Team Dignitas, God, they still look good. So that's going to be very fun.
What was the statistics yesterday? 15-1 in overall map score?
Something like that.
Like, that is just insanity.
I can find that out pretty quick.
I'm pretty sure it was something like 15-1. So the only map they have dropped in the ongoing phase was, I think, against the Method. So that was literally the only map they ever dropped. And it's safe to say that Dignitas... Sorry, what was that? 15-1?
15-1, you're right.
There we go. So that's literally like another piece of proof that Dignitas, in terms of teams in Europe, is just by far the strongest one to go. And should actually be a very scary opponent to face in the Western Clash for any team, both from NA and EU.
Exactly. If we're looking at the teams that did well for mid-season Brawl, then Tempo Storm, they did have a small roster swap. We got to see if that has affected them anyway in terms of international play, as they're looking pretty good for making it to the Western Clash themselves as well. They're going to have to play against Team Dignitas again. That's going to be rough.
All right, and the same can be said about, I think, the situation that we have in the West, with EU looking so strong still, especially Dignitas, can be kind of mirrored to the East as well, which Korea, probably a little more insane there, because all the top 3-4 Korean teams look way scarier than in China, than the top China teams right now. But it's going to be really interesting to see how much the gap has either, increased, decreased, or stayed the same.
Yeah, although I will say, just quickly, even though they did lose to Tempest 3-0, which is kind of unsurprising, watching Miracle's games yesterday was really fun. Busting out the Alexstrasza Cho'Gall, not even going for Lifebinder, which I might have expected, and just going for the Cleansing Flame instead, going like very tank-heavy builds, and just having the Cho'Gall get super healed and went damage alongside with Junkrat and Nirel. Just a solid sustainy frontliner. It was so entertaining, very enjoyable.
Yeah, that's something you have to admire, right? If you go down, at least go down with style.
Well, they won against Feelers. I'm talking about their series against Feelers.
Oh, you're talking about Feelers, all right.
Yeah, because they lost on Friday against Tempest. With a Cho'Gall comp as well, but they tried a Ariel one. But
that's the one I saw, exactly, yeah.
Yes, but they also ran one on Sunday against Feelers, and it was devastating, and they were basically killing everything, and it was awesome. But we are into this draft. A Deckard Cain showing up for the first time today. Quite surprised he made it through the first draft, to be honest, but Alexstrasza was prioritized.
Yeah, and for good reason, I think. You could really see that Beyond the Game had a battle plan in mind, right? They went for the ultimate protection comp, if you will. Deckard Cain is good, don't get me wrong. He's probably one of the top 2 supports in the global meta right now, and for good reason, next to Malfurion. However, Alexstrasza brings that extra inch of AoE protection in there, which they really wanted to have against Li Ming. On top of the Tyrael shields, it had wonderful synergy as well there. So with that battle plan in mind, I think they executed it very, very nicely. And although, as you said, they struggled in the early game, they came back almost like calculated, I would say. I really think they traded these early team fights, realizing that the mid-late game was theirs, if only they played it correctly here. But once again, we see the Genji being picked here. Definitely don't dislike this choice for Loktar. He was looking really solid on that hero once again. Actually, there's very little difference, very little change. This is the exact 3 same heroes that we saw on BoE as well. Murden, played by C, MJ on the Malfurion, and Loktar on that Genji once more.
I don't blame them. The composition worked. It was just obviously change out Artanis, because this is a much less efficient map for him. But it seriously worked pretty well. It was down to the players' very, very small mistakes that lost them that game. So I have no issue with them just running the same thing again and just trading out the solo laner. Li Ming, maybe you could also swap out, but these three heroes especially were pretty much a home run. With Johanna and Phoenix, though, coming in for BTG, it's once again, very good team fight comp. They've got the slows from Deckard Cain. They can probably go into another slow, like maybe a Thrall themselves or something like that. Maybe something a little bit extra ranged might be more preferable. But overall, very solid draft for BTG so far.
Yeah, you could really see that this Dehaka in the top lane is probably going to be very uncontested. They banned out the two most dangerous solo laners in the game right now, Irel and Malthael. So who else can really hold the lane very well against a Dehaka? Blaze, perhaps. Sonya could do it.
Junkrat?
If you want to go for the triple ranged route, or they go for the Illidan right off the bat here, probably being played that by Chicken. And Tetcher, that is a call of 2017 when RPG was playing that global Illidan the entire time.
Oh, it was then, wasn't it? Okay,
that
well,
split burst style, right, with the hunt.
It's time for me to look up statistics to see how good Chicken is on that hero.
It's been a while, I reckon, that since he played.
Very long.
Yeah.
Oh man, that is, like you said, a callback. That is into a blind. That is actively into a blind, into a Dehaka who's actually got fairly decent CC. That is
they go for the double global.
Without Furion, there's no cleanse outside of the Nature's Cleanse, which does not work on silences. They have got the double global, like you said, though. So maybe hunt Hinterland? Maybe that's the play here?
I don't know, to be honest.
Okay. 17 games, 41.2% win ratio. One of its highest.
Yeah, most of it coming from 2017, as we said, when that global playstyle was all the jazz. But look at the Valeera response coming in from beyond the game. Now, this is going to be very interesting. How do you deal with hyper-mobile carries like the Tracer, like the Illidan, like a Genji? You silence them. And so Valeera is considered to be, like, if left uncontested and if left unattended to, I think Valeera can actually be that poison, that crippling poison that they really need to shut down all this hyper-aggression.
The Valeera, I love it. We already mentioned Nature's Cleanse. It only works on stuns, slows, and roots. It doesn't work on silences. We have two silences on the other side now. The Phoenix right now is sort of... the comp started being built around Phoenix and is now just unintentionally built into just shutting down Illidan, which is, going to be honest, what most comps seem to turn into when an Illidan shows up. But either way, really interesting response from BTG bringing out the Valeera. This is going to create so many problems, especially for Falstad, actually.
Yeah, absolutely true. I think Falstad will be that one hero that will have to be consistently on his tippy toes there, because I think... like, not only the Valeera burst damage and the silence, of course, but also if you think about it, there's so many slows abilities right now for the Purification Salvo by Phoenix, right? And if Falstad gets hit by that, he can actually fall down into in a couple of milliseconds there. They have the slows by Deckard Cain, which is already amazing synergy. They have the slows by Johanna, and for single target damage, they have the crippling poison by the Valeera. So let's see what these teams bring to the table. Let's see if the old school Illidan is actually going to work out for RPG like it did so many times in 2017, or if it's just a gimmick that will get crushed mercilessly by their opponents beyond the game. For now, though, introducing the teams once again, RPG in the blues with Chicken on the Illidan, MJ on his brother, the Malfurion, Sa is playing the Falstad, C is playing Muradin, and Loktar on that Genji once more.
Double Elf, Double Dwarf, and a Ninja. On the right-hand side, it is BTG with 619 on Johanna, LLK playing the Valeera, Druid on Deckard Cain, Dancing on the Phoenix, and 3 is bringing out the Dehaka. And it's a Gathering Storm Falstad coming in here, and a Perfect Storm Muradin.
Yeah, a lot of focus being put here onto the Storm by the two dwarves, by the double dwarves. Now, let's see what they can actually make with it. They're trying to set up a trap here. They find Johanna, not the best target to crash upon.
Triangle is dropped onto Illidan.
Yeah.
Both teams taking a little bit of damage, nothing serious, but stacks, I believe, were just acquired. 8 stacks
Beautiful.
in 29 seconds acquired by Sar there. Oh my god.
Yeah, they all went in a conga line, you know, and so it was just the perfect formation for Sa to get value on that hammering, you know. But once again, here we go, engage over the wall, stun goes through, but the burrow is too strong here, 5-3. But once again, I wanted to highlight how well Beyond the Game played that, and that is just such a big difference between Hero League, for example, and Pro Play, right? They had the perfect rotation into face checking. Normally you don't want to face check, but if you do, make sure it's the Johanna that enters the bush first. In Hero League, I could have totally seen maybe the Phoenix to go there, maybe the Valeera to go there, and then RPG just getting that first blood and snapping, crushing the rotation of Beyond the Game. Now we have a pause, it seems. Let's see. It should just be a quickie pause, I think.
We'll wait for that to return. But yeah, Falstad already grabbing some stacks at the start with that Gathering Storm. We also, by the way, saw that it's Vigor coming in from the Valeera, not the Crippling Poison here. So going with the extra energy generation, or energy per second, and then the extra maximum energy. This can lead to bigger combos, but it's not the usual combo we see using that Crippling Poison for the slow to allow Valeera to basically get very sticky with an auto-attack speed build that we have seen quite a bit.
Vigor used to be the go-to build for a long time. When you actually went for that assassination style, you know, with that fancy dash teleport into Q. But since that talent is no longer there in the game, since the Valeera reworks, it's mostly been Crippling Poison for the most part. And I'm actually interested in seeing you know, the overall build by the Valeera. Is it going to be the Mutilate build, which focuses on the Qs, on the Sinister Strike a lot, which makes for perfect and really strong burst damage? Or is it going to be the rather rare E build, the Bleeding build here, coming in after a few talent tiers have been gained up to this point?
So now then, 619, just trading out the minions for now, making the most of that Johanna group up with the Condemned to make the most out of these Siege Giants, who do AoE damage. So cool to see there, grouping up, let the AoE kill the minion wave. Very cool.
Right, Muradin denying access to that shrine to the Johanna for now. Body blocking, stunning the way through with Falstad in the vicinity. Of course, he can afford to play that cheekily, but look at that top push going so well over for RPG, already taking down a tower, making sure that the shrine stays in their control as well. Chicken and Genji now need to retreat, but are they going to collapse on that Valeera and maybe take that Dragon Knight? Wait a minute.
They're going to try. Valeera, she has... Valeera took Relentless Strikes, but decided not to try the Sinister Strike to interrupt. Would have put herself in far too much danger, so instead backs up. Nice move by C and Sar here, trying to get 619, but not enough. So once again, second game in a row, first objective goes over to RPG. Illidan in this Dragon Knight, and Phoenix goes for a ride to the pond.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. You know, you always want to punt away the target that deals most reliable single target damage onto you. This time, the Dragon Knight actually almost got baited, kicks Valeera away just barely there. They get 2 towers in the middle. They rotate now down towards the bottom. Illidan, of course, in the pilot seat here on that Dragon Knight. Now, should just use the Flaming Breath from a safe distance. There we go. But that's basically all they could do. You know, it's not a whole lot they were able to accomplish with that Dragon Knight, but still better than giving it to the enemy team. And 2 towers is still very nice progress in the middle lane.
3 comes in, says hi to Lockdar, who's really just here to soak XP. He's not here for the permanent laning phase. Falstad's already on his way up. Illidan will be on his way up after he is finished with his Mercenary, unless they want to make a play onto bot Mercenary. Looks like that might be the case, because guess who is also already here? BTG. They're going to try and race it, but with Genji on the way, Falstad within fly range, we might actually see RPG go for a fight as the camp is leashed. They're on the way. Lockdar has revealed himself, so has MJ. Silence is immediately dropped onto the Genji, but he's going to be fine. This immediately gets the opportunity, though, for Illidan and Muradin to start the Mercenary camp.
That's exactly what they're doing, Tetcher. They're going to try to establish yet another strong push here with the help of double Mercenaries. These Siege Giants are currently getting chipped down by those puny little ranged minions, but I think one of them is at least going to survive the counter global to prevent the Dehaka from getting all that free value. Beautifully done. I think RPG is looking the strongest we've ever seen them on Dragonshire, with an exotic team composition with that Illidan, for example, but they're making the best use of it right now. What is Illidan good at? It's creating this heavy pressure, this strong structure damage with Mercenaries, and as long as he doesn't get caught over and over again, as long as he's not forced to soul lane all the time, you could really see how that hero with the superior mobility, the strong single target damage, is doing quite a lot of work for them.
Valeera, though, just going to be getting scarier and scarier. Fatal Finesse coming in here. We're seeing them looking for 3 body blocks are good. Is Dark Swarm available for the intangible, making him non-body blockable? Beautiful. It was, but he still goes down. Damage output just too much here. But okay, does make it in range here for a little bit of XP. And yeah, that's it. That Fatal Finesse here. Every time Blade Fairy damages an enemy hero, its damage increases by 4 up to 80. This could be pretty decent in terms of AoE in fights, especially if we can get onto the backline where he might be able to get Felset and Malfurion, but it's still risky. Once again, they're going to try and body block Johanna away. They will succeed. And the second Dragonite of the game goes over to RPG, but it is the support in it. This does slightly nerf the pushing potential at least a little bit.
Beautiful there with the immolation, by the way, against Valeera. That is one of those pesky, annoying reveal tools. Never mind, is Dancing going to fall here, and that Phoenix is barely making it out alive. But the immolation by Illidan prevents Valeera from ever getting good value onto him. For example, if she's trying to collapse on him, right? Because she gets revealed before she can land that initiation. So if Chicken plays it well, which he has been doing so far, the Valeera value can be drastically decreased. And I think that's basically the one thing that cripples Beyond the Game right now. The lack of wave clear, the slower rotations, they don't seem to really be able to catch up to RPG. They're moving so swiftly around the map. And the Valeera, she needs those engages, right? If she's always running behind, if she's running past enemy heroes, there's nothing she can do. She can't clear the lane that well. She can't keep the enemy team at bay that well. So RPG, man, with that early game momentum, just like game number 1, the question is, Tetra, can they actually maintain it?
I mean, you talked about momentum, Kendrick. I'm pretty sure I called this in terms of heroics. It's a Hunt Hinterland Blast combo hunt. Hinterland, boom on the lizard, and 3 gets taken out. That's how you get a gag, and that's how you keep momentum going.
And the timing was so well executed too, right? Normally, Dahaka has that burrow to basically dodge the Influence Blast, but they used it exactly when he was stunned by Muradin still. So the double dwarf synergy up to this point by RPG absolutely on fleek there, really making sure that they get the targets they wanted to, even if it's a tanky Dahaka. When he's CC'd, he can't dodge it. So yeah, you know, Tetra, I mean, I'm willing to give this to RPG right now. The game is looking very, very hot for them right now.
They are looking really, really good. LLK trying to sneak around. Muradin stuns Johanna, though. Camp's already taken. BTG, they're looking desperately for something, but they can't find it yet. Smoke Bomb coming in for Valeera, trying to give herself a little bit of sustain. Like you said, that immolation for the Illidan, going to make it hard for her to move around stealth outside of the initial. I believe she still has unrevealable frames, right? It's been a while since I've seen Valeera outside of a very select few games at MSB, which I did not have the pleasure to cast, I believe.
Yeah, so basically in the Smoke Bomb, she cannot be revealed by anything, and even if she leaves the
But she has like unrevealable frames normally, right?
Exactly. Like the first second, she cannot be revealed, but after that, of course, she will get revealed by AoE damage. But yeah, up to this point, I think you can really, like, if you take a look at the map, Tetra, it's almost painted completely in blue. They even stole the Bruiser camp on the side of BTG. Beyond the Game, with a lack of wave clear, with a lack of rotation speed, they cannot keep up with the double global, with the Merc speed at which RPG is taking those. It's just insanity. Level 13 is not here yet, so RPG still needs to be on the lookout that they don't overextend at this point. Make sure to get that talent advantage first, and then collapsing your opponents.
Valeera absolutely being my lowest ranked hero, so I very much am happy to lean on Kendrick for a little bit of Valeera knowledge as we see a nice silence onto Muradin, but not much achieved from it there by LLK.
Yeah, not really that much done here. Dahaka, by the way, is not really with Beyond the Game just yet. He's trying to keep that top lane clear. Now they engage on Muradin out of all the people. CC chain is real, but the Avatar last second is making it through.
The scroller ceiling, not enough for the lockdown here. But he's alive. Nice interrupt by Lockdown. He prevents the double channel, at least for now, and forces 3 off. Lockdown can basically kite Dahaka forever as long as there's no bushes around, which makes it a very nice move that 3 backed off here, especially with Illidan not showing on the map yet.
At first, you were like, why did Dahaka back off so quickly there? Shouldn't he be able to actually beat a Genji in a 1-1? Yeah, true in theory, but I think he was really scared of either Falstad flying in or Illidan hunting in, and that's exactly what happened here now. Illidan using the hunt on the Dahaka, they tried to get that kill, but a lightning speed reflex coming in by 3 makes sure that he uses the Brush Chakra to get to safety. Genji and Illidan, once the hunt is over, they don't have any CC to interrupt him anymore, so that was actually a cool little move here. Now, they need to be careful though. They need to be careful. 13 is here.
Yeah.
Can be on the game, stall it out for as long as possible.
Illidan has full vision of basically everyone. Dahaka showed in the showed in mid lane pretty recently, so he knows he's pretty safe to do this mercenary, especially with Genji actually hanging around the area. They might be able to grab this camp and the Dragon Knight if they can zone Dahaka away from Genji. But no, we are seeing BTG at least keeping hold of bot lane. They know it's not worth the risk. Dahaka might have realized that something is up and moves towards the camp, but he's far too late. Sneaky Illidan, and of course, because of Illidan's trait during all of this time, he has the hunt back. All of those auto attacks, giving him that cooldown reduction.
Exactly. You might have called the hunt on the Dahaka there a little wasted, right? But all it takes is one mercenary camp, you know, a little bit of farming in the lane. And as you said, thanks to the innate cooldown reduction that he has built into his kit, he's going to have it back already. And look at Genji, look at Illidan, dominating middle and top lane already, pushing back beyond the game over and over and over again.
Okay, mid-fort was going to die, but Valeera, a little bit too scary for Genji at this point.
Yeah.
He is gonna back up. Valeera, though, with her 13, careful C, might be in trouble. Scroll of Ceiling, nice job. I think they might have interrupted the Dwarf Toss. Nope, they didn't. It was just being held here. But yeah, Valeera going with the Strangle here, reducing the spell power. Gets to Falstad, gets to Genji. That's pretty strong. Here's the HUD onto the Dahaka. Not really for a kill here. This was just to prevent him from taking this back, because now they can focus all their efforts onto trying to grab this Dragon.
And they forced another Brostalker as well by 3. He used it immediately to basically put a little bit of pressure onto the bottom in the middle lane with Dahaka there as well, but it didn't really do anything. Still, the double shrine control for RPG, that's basically because they're too threatening. You see the Illidan in the soul lane, you have to run, right? Dahaka runs immediately. Falstad there as well with the Hinterlands Blast and the Genji. They have so much ganking potential. Valeera now doing a smart thing, using her invisibility to basically sneak to this top shrine unseen. But look at that, Tetra. RPG, they're the masters of play this patiently, right? They wait until 16, and then I think they're going to finally make that trap snap.
Yeah, they've managed to play this very patiently. They've grabbed a Bruiser camp while this was happening. Illidan's just going to move up and just retake this. Valeera, there's no way she's going to hang around there with neither Genji nor Illidan showing on the map. Illidan finally showing, Genji not. So there was no way Valeera was going to actually move in here. C, going to move in and delay. They're going to try the channel, but no, this does get neutralized. C even popping the Avatar to try and save it. It's not going to be enough. It's going to be forced to back up, even with... Well, there's that. Hun Hinterland once again blows up Valeera. So even if they don't get bot, they are able to pick up that kill, and now, with that hero dead, this could force a rotation from mid lane. It's not going to be from mid lane, though. C being the distraction, making them feel like it's a fight mid lane, but in fact, the fight's in the top lane. They're looking for Dahaka, trying to source him down, and moving all in 3 members, trying to focus him down. Brostalker's enough, though. Dahaka sneaks away, gets a potion, is going to be able to fall back to base. No,
well, he earned those potions.
With the potions.
He earned those potions for sure. That's like the 3rd or 4th time that a Hawk actually makes it to safety using a super quick Brostalker. Well done, because otherwise he would have fallen for sure against that onslaught in the top lane. But once again, that kill on the Valeera was also very beautifully done, because I think it was in the middle of the Smoke Bomb. But Smoke Bomb gives you 25 armor. It also makes you invisible. But it doesn't prevent you from taking AoE damage. So if you land a nice Hinterlands Blast in the middle of it, where you expect Valeera to be, you can still take her out, and that's exactly what RPG did. Now, they're trying to open the map a little bit more in the bottom here, it seems.
And if Illidan's pre-hunted, you know exactly where that Valeera is. Follow the symbol. You don't need to even follow the hero. See Johanna gets punted back a little bit. As such, Fort will go down. Like you said, they're going to try and open bot lane, moving forward. Dwarf launch for Muradin. Because right now, I'm going to be honest, I already talked about it last game. Outside of that one mistake, C's positioning has just been gorgeous these last 2 series, especially in that last situation where he made it feel like there was going to be the global rotation from Falstad to bot lane, just to lull Dahaka into a false sense of security and allow the attempted gank onto him. Didn't work out, but the attempt was absolutely superb. Now they've managed to open up the bot lane. There's still the key, but everything else is now available to them. 3 is going to back up because he doesn't want to be ganked. But the Dragon Knight, not getting too much value, actually. It's being zoned out pretty well. No attempt. RPG not wanting to risk any gank. 3 will once again escape.
And you heard those extra ching-ching sounds when Genji unleashed all 3 shurikens. Hold that thought. LK might be yet another target to fall. That lightning rod from Falstad finishes the job, gets the job done, and now without the Valeera, I don't think there's much BTG can do to hold this middle tower lane line. They should be able to hold the keep, though, but once again, in a lot of trouble, under a lot of pressure. Locked her X-Strike, gets out to safety.
Here's the hunt, it's right onto the Phoenix, who is forced to teleport. Now this time, Illidan, however, will go down. Nice drag by Dahaka. Star is being forced to back up, C zoning out for the rest of the team. This will allow them to leave. But finally, BTG pick up their first kill of the game, Kendrick.
Crazy. Crazy. If you told me that they would fall behind by such a large margin beyond the game that is, I would have called you a fool, because they even picked that battleground. They supposedly were aware of what they would get into, you know, but it really looks to me like RPG had planned this draft, this kind of playstyle from the very get-go. And although they just lost Illidan for the first time, he should have actually picked Metamorphosis if he wanted to play that aggressively, by the way. Yeah, let's see what they can make with it. It's going to be a 5 versus 4 here. RPG needs to be very careful.
Hacker comes in, Locktar. They're able to find LOK, but Falstad, huge damage. We already mentioned how much the silence can make him suffer. The anti-healing, that Emerald coming in. Camp is stolen by BTG, making the absolute most of the time that they have the man advantage. Illidan is back, though. Hunt still on a 33-second cooldown, though. BTG, they still have some time to put some map pressure on, but they're going to play it a little bit safer. Just moving in so they can force Locktar out of position and just clearing waves. They need to soak their way towards 20 because RPG, they're a full level away from it.
Exactly. By the way, did you see that damage coming in from Falstad already with that hammering? Due to the way he built this, with, you know, the boomerang at level 7, with the level 1 Gathering Storm, he's gonna hit like a truck if he lands those perfectly executed hammerings over and over, on top, of course, of the Hinterlands Blast. A really cute little build coming in from Falstad that's very much designed to mess with the team comp of BTG, which is very melee heavy, you know, with the Valera, the Dahaka, the Johanna, the Decker Kane to a certain extent. If he manages to get that AoE splash damage value all the time, I think RPG will have a wonderful time with those team fights.
It's an old-fashioned build, very old-fashioned indeed, which is what it means BTG have to completely focus on putting damage onto Falstad, due to the fact that he's gone for the CDR combo on level 13 and 16. Assuming they can damage him, that will prevent his Tailwind from activating, and this means they can actually try and prevent the cooldown reduction happening. Otherwise, if Falstad goes undamaged, those hammerangs with that boomerang, with that huge damage output you already mentioned, is going to come in all the more consistently. All they have to do is to tap him every now and again. But that's what is something they have to do or they're going to be in trouble. Silence and stun onto C, but he's just tanking through it. He's Muradin.
He tanked through like it was no big problem at all. And here comes Illidan. Hunt on the Decker Kane. He's in a lot of trouble right now.
Falstad not here, so no Hinterland Blast. Here comes the Salvo. Chicken gets dropped very low. Has to use both of the Storm. Twilight Dream. Hinterland Blast, the upgraded version coming in here. Focusing on to dancing. Locktar dances away from LOK, who immediately drops the Smoke Bomb with Chicken and Locktar both low. Falstad is picked off. MJ in trouble, and Valera is beginning to turn this around, Kendrick.
This was a very reckless engage by RPG. I think they overvalued, they overestimated themselves, to be honest here. They fought this very early on without Falstad, and when Falstad came in with that all-in flank, there was nobody left to support him because Illidan was low, Genji was brought down low already, so this was a very chaotic fight picked by RPG, and I think if they had played that one more cleanly, you know, timing their cooldowns and the globals a little bit better, stun against the Genji slows through, but Swift Strike is better. They could have done much more, also big value by the Purification Salvo. Like that one hit almost every single member of RPG and kept them afar. So yeah.
Falstad needs to be there from the start. If they intended to make that kind of engage, he needs to be there to actually land the Hinterland onto the Deckard, who was the initial target. Stormbolt doesn't land, and as such, Dragonite is picked up. All the forts are available for RPG, but even with 20s, they've already lost a team fight. 20 is just about to be hit for BTG. This is their comeback potential. In the meantime, Illidan making the most of a bad situation. They already have the gates and the towers down in bot lane. He's going to begin to push that lane up minion-wise and move his way back to the rest of his team. You can, like you said, see Valera waiting patiently.
Yeah, she's trying to maybe intercept an Illidan if he was to rotate that way, right? But as it is, Illidan knows exactly that there could always be this unseen threat in the bush. And I was going to say, Tetra, it's nice if you get 3 Dragon Knights before that, but if you don't get any keeps, it's not that much value. Here comes the defense, though, by RPG.
Boom! The Hinterland Hunt X Strike picks up the kill. Locktar is just massacring the backline, turning it to a living weapon. But Indomitable Spirit is good. Twilight Dream from MJ, though, is going to set them up for more kills, assuming they can get there. Here's the Dwarf launch, looking for LOK. Good stun. Hey, Falstad, looking for the damage. LOK is so low, trying to sneak away. Illidan knows. Illidan knows they get it before he blows up Genji. 619 indestructible, but he's just delaying the inevitable. But like you said, He is buying time, but he is going to go down. A huge stack of death now achieved as RPG begin to push bot lane.
Chicken could have actually gone for the keep right away. He can actually evade those shots for the most part. There is no need to go back to the minions. Here we see that beautiful hinterlands engage onto the support on the Achilles heel of Beyond the Game there on the Decker Cane. And then a beautiful, relentless chase on that Phoenix there. Although he gets his second life, Lockter says, no, I'm going to take your life. And I think this is a core attempt with Illidan. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. This should be it.
Illidan completely dodging the Haka, the only hero alive. Deckard Cain comes out. He does have Stay a While and Listen. This could be the turnaround play, the last pitch effort. Here comes the hinterland. Great spread out by RPG, and that is going to be GG. 1-1. Both these teams walk away with a single point.
And Tetcher, I think that was so well deserved by RPG. That one defense, that one team fight they needed to win, they won with a picture-perfect engage on the right target. Deckard Cain has very little self-protection. If he is pressured, he cannot use his ult, right? Because there's a cone in front of him. And from there on, you know, the remaining focus fire was just done equally as well. Phoenix next. Then they had the squishies, they chased down everyone else. And with a Dragon Knight, you know, automatically you lose that team fight momentum, that team fight presence, right? Because you can't peel for the backline that well. The only thing you have is a punt, and that's about it. But you don't have the superior mobility, you don't have the blinds, for example, that they needed against the Illidan. So, as it is, I think RPG, they played that super well with a couple of sloppy mistakes in between. But ultimately, the result is all that matters, and it's safe to say that this Valeera pick didn't work out the way they wanted to.
Yeah, the build was weird to me. Like, I would have way preferred the auto-attack build just to get the extra slows in, try and focus Falstad a little bit more, maybe? It was very unusual, and also, Smoke Bomb, I can see the logic to try and prevent people focusing you, but you're against a hunt. Would Shroud of Shadows not have prevented you from getting hunted and maybe being able to dodge a Hinterland Blast? Valeera died like 2 or 3 times to that combo.
Yeah, very true. Very true. And once again, you mentioned the Valeera build, right? Not only was the Valeera build a little off meta, like many things that Chinese players like to do sometimes, like not going for the Mutilate build, which would have been so good against a single target. But also, the Valeera pick itself, if you look at the macro play and the rotations they had in the early game, it just didn't really add a whole lot to it. If you don't get the kills, if you don't get the lockdowns on the enemy team to build up that kill pressure, she's not going to have a lot of wave clears. She's not going to be the fastest in terms of rotating compared to an Illidan, to a Falstad, to a Genji, who have superior mobility, greater ganking potential this way. And quite honestly, I think RPG, they just played mouse and cat with their opponents, and they were definitely the cat for the most part.
Completely agree. Really impressed, especially due to the fact they were, in fact, the ones on the hunt. Because that hunt pick, they surprised Illidan. RPG, they love to do this. They used to love to do this. And this is the biggest concern we had about RPG for such a long time. And that was, oh, they started winning because they were doing things like picking Murky and picking Illidan and going global and doing all this kind of really cool, fancy plays. And they would get wins from it because they used to have this really cool wombo combo and stuff like that. And they'd play the map a fair amount more. At one point, they tried to play the map without getting a single bit of kill on Warhead Junction. And it worked kind of well. But then they just started going for meta or the same strats outside of what worked anymore on different maps where it wasn't effective, and they just became stale. And now they're starting to show that life. They're starting to show that variety again, and I'm starting to get behind RPG again. And I don't want to because they might go back down again. But right now, I'm feeling RPG. They're doing well again.
I really have to agree with you there. Beyond the Game is probably one of the harder teams to beat in the HGC China region. So them getting a 1-1 here and actually beating Team Nut 2-0, those are like straight up contenders, right, for the mid-tier places. I think they did a really good job. So once again, kudos to RPG. Not only winning games, but also winning them with an exotic way of approaching the game, surprising enemies with heroes that were set to, you know, not be viable at the current meta. So Illidan doing pretty well there. I like it. Artana is doing pretty well. If it had been a little bit more clean in first game. But once again, I also wanted to highlight Sion that Muradin, that constant menace that he proved to be. Strong Stormbolt, accuracy for the most part. I also like the way how he adjusted his talent build, going for the Dwarf launch at 16, for example, because he didn't need the tankiness, right? There was no damage put onto him because all the focus went onto the Genji, went onto the Illidan, so Muradin had free reign.
He did have free reign. He was able to put on so much. I've gone into his positioning so many times because it has been absolutely superb. He was able to put pressure on and force reactions and at least force mind games from BTG of, okay, so this is where they're going to move in. Muradin's forcing the issue here. But no, he's Muradin. He's getting the trade out. But Chicken also, really nice rotations, really nice experience soak for his team as well. Did a fantastic job there. And he was able to get control of the mercenaries as Illidan is fun to do.
Yeah, you know, it's one thing to play Illidan and win with it, especially in 2018 when I can see them practice a lot with the Illidan, right? Because I think it would probably be a waste of time and energy if you, in scrims, in practice games, you would try the Illidan over and over again, get beat, you know, for the most part, over and over again. So at some point, you would have to be like, okay, you know what? Let's just go and see if it works. And if it works out fine, you know, we may try it again. But Chicken, he definitely made a strong point there, a strong claim to say that maybe Illidan is not as bad in certain situations as many people think he is. And we all know, like, I'm pretty sure the once Hugo is watching that game and he's like, oh yeah, RPG can win with the Illidan. Let's actually do this ourselves.
I mean, it's a pretty standard combo that they can probably do. I could see Muggle being able to... Has Muggle played Falstad yet?
I think he could probably do it, yeah. He could very well do it. So, are we going to have a replay
combo to land? It's so easy, especially seeing as most of the supports right now that are in meta aren't using cleanse. It's so perfect.
It's true. It is very true. Without the cleanse, you know, the Illidan hunt feels much more impactful. It's a beautiful point you make there. And once again, another point maybe for Chinese teams to pick up the Rhaegar more. We see him in the other regions way more often than here in China.
Yeah. So now we are heading into the replay segment with Nova, our replay analyst. Unfortunately, we cannot read, we cannot understand Chinese, and we can't lip read, and he's also facing away from the camera, even if we could. So then, we are going to have to try and unfortunately guess what he is saying. For now, you can see once again, C is in an aggressive position. A mostly fine aggressive position, although I wouldn't mind him being at least a little bit closer to MJ, but he's trying to put pressure on. He's trying to force reactions onto him, give his team a chance to dissuade the opponents. He's cutting off escape routes while also putting pressure to force a reaction from the opponents, but his Stormbolt does not land, and that's where stuff starts to go wrong.
Yeah, this is where the Muradin is in a little bit of trouble, but immediately getting reinforcements from Chicken on that Artanis. Genji also going in with the X-Strike. It's just been used. Now, Druid on the Alexstrasza, you seem very close to the RPG frontline, is such a good target to collapse on, right? If you pressure an Alexstrasza early, not only is she very likely going to be forced to either use Cleansing Flame or the Dragon Queen to stay alive for a little longer, but if she can't do that, she is basically useless because a single target heal won't heal for much because it scales with her current health, and she also doesn't really have that many escape mechanisms, right? So she has limited mobility if she's down low in health. So usually a very smart idea to focus on the Alexstrasza. But here comes the Sundering, buying enough time, dislocating the enemy team members from RPG as well. And with the Dragon Queen going through uncontestedly, we have massive AoE healing. We have good disengage with a Wing Buffet. And this is where the team fight starts to turn and be on the game's favor.
Exactly. Even with the suppression pulse already being used, they're still able to immediately turn this round. Muradin, he gets out, but you mentioned this perfectly earlier. What's going to happen to Artanis now? You actually saw him in a position there where he actually managed to bait people with his dash, but Tyrael was just 2 steps ahead, dropping a Holy Ground and cutting off the escape route for Artanis. He already has low escape, but Tyrael completely shutting that down. And a little bit of Sundering as well to shut down the follow-up engage for RPG in the first place. And the Cleansing Flame just picks up even more. And we see yet another Wind Buffet. The flanking Wind Buffet might be my favorite play from this series from BTG. It was so cool.
It was so cool. Just as cool as this last defense here, by the way, by RPG. With the Haka in the Dragon Knight, which is the perfect candidate, by the way, to pilot it. I just wanted to highlight that. So no mistakes here in terms of who hops into the Dragon Knight, because Johanna still has the better peel. She still has the better protection for the backline. But look at that. Illidan, he's going in for the hunt. All abilities are ready, so we definitely can't put it, we can't blame the cooldowns there. And now I want you guys to follow the movements of Loktar and Sa respectively. The two fellow assassins of Illidan, they all collapse on the same targets wonderfully. And Dancing as well is in a little bit of trouble. 619 at this point, actually. I don't think he needs to be where he's currently standing. I don't think he needs to be next to the Dragon Knight. The moment the hunt goes down, he should have realized, oh snap, I'm too far away, so let's try to help that backline immediately. But even if he does it right now, it might have been already too late, because the distance for a low mobility warrior like Johanna is so large at this point.
Yeah, and I would like to point out Illidan's positioning. If you look on the minimap right now, he was in that exact same spot for a really long time. Even when Valeera was in the bush, he was in a position where she couldn't see him from the bush. He literally just stood there for what was about to probably amount of time that probably prompted his AFK timer if this was a ranked game. But instead, he just waited, out of vision, and then when he saw his opportunity, he pounced. Very much like some kind of predatory cat. But it was the perfect setup. Like you said, perfect target, 619, not in position to drop the blind, and of course the blind is not going to help against Hinterland. And they were all able to move forward. Even MJ gets a pretty decent Astral Communion here.
Yeah, and it's very easy to say, why didn't Valeera check more aggressively then if she wanted to interrupt the Illidan, right? Interrupt the hunt with a silence or a stun, and you're going to be Gucci. But you also have to be aware that Valeera didn't have vision. She wasn't even sure, is Illidan in the top lane? Is he hiding in the bottom lane? Is he at the core, you know, to basically go from that hint angle? So it was near impossible for the Valeera player to actually guess where the Illidan was hiding, because Chicken played that so well. He didn't enter the bush. He didn't actually enter the lane. He waited near the bottom fort, so Valeera couldn't have even found out, even if she wanted to. And as you said, here comes the combo, the Hinterlands Blast, the Muradin even jumping in thanks to that Dwarf launch. He ensures that he gets there in time. So beautifully done by RPG.
And Locked are currently in the air. Boom, boom, booms. Very simple X strike. Nothing fancy. Just good play, good timing.
And then Locked also
range, immediate X strike, and living weapon gets in the second.
Did you see how Locked just deflected the entire purification salvo?
Yeah, it was dope. Man. I think he actually hit a couple into the Dragon Knight even.
Yeah.
So even getting value there. False with the fly forward. LLK trying to dodge, trying to escape, but we are going to see him go down. Tries to get away, but has to try and teleport. Goes for Genji, seeing if he can get the trade kill. And instead, they were able to get the full team wipe, except for Dahaka, who has, for some reason, gone top lane. I assume just to try and get a little bit of XP and try and force a reaction. But there was very little chance of defending, even if he'd gone back straight away.
Definitely true. And with that being said, guys, I think we're in for one hell of a day when the first series of the day, which we thought was, you know, one of the more one-sided ones, turns out to be such a fireworks. So make sure to stay tuned, guys. We have 5 more series coming right up at you. Tetra and I will be back in a bit, and see you there.